Welcome to this talk on church commitment. I was thinking the other day, when did I first start going to church? And I must have been a preschooler, less than the age of 5. But my predominant memory of going to church was, this is boring. You see, the church wasn't related to a family, it was really related to adults. Because many churches today are family orientated, which is the way it often should be. Now, I came to know the Lord about the age of 9. And since then, I've attended church every Sunday, or most Sundays, and I found it the most wonderful experience. Now, I'm not saying it's easy going. Sometimes it can be challenging and hard. But I have loved generally the fellowship that I've had with other believers. I've loved the worship through singing and the ministry of the word, and so on. What about you? Do you love the church? Are you committed to the church? It's a little bit like being committed to a family. You have your ups and you have your downs. But when the Holy Spirit came upon the early church, the Roman Empire was turned upside down. People came to know the Lord everywhere. And the unbelieving historians, they looked at the believers and they said, my, how they love one another. They really do. And they even lay down their lives for unbelievers. And so the Roman Empire was turned upside down. The Holy Spirit is still at work today around the world, and people are coming to know the Lord and finding it very significant in their life. We need to remember, of course, that the church is imperfect. Why? Because you belong to it and I belong to it. And the Apostle Paul, he used to write letters to his churches. He planted churches all over Asia Minor. And he used to commence his letters, his salutations, with words like this: grace, peace be to you. You see, when he brought correction to the churches or encouraged them, there was the underlying motive of love. And we need to have that love too when we are dealing with church situations. The other thing that Paul did when he planted a church, he would often be there for about a year or two, and he would establish leadership. Often they would be called elders, and elders gave structure to the church. For example, it's a little bit like the human body. You know, we have our flesh, but underneath the flesh, there are the bones. And if we didn't have the bones, the life of the body would flop down onto the floor. But structure is important for the church to move forward. And the flesh there speaks to me of the life of the Spirit. When we have the life of the Spirit working in our life and the structures, then the church is able to sustain itself and move forward and grow. For Jesus says, I will build my church and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. When we look at the church today, all over the world, there are different models. And we like to think our model is the right one, but there are different models that are valid. For example, some churches are small, maybe they meet in a house. Some churches are large and meet in an auditorium. That's okay if God is in that. Some churches emphasize one particular doctrine. Maybe others have more of an emphasis on another particular doctrine. And then we have loud worship, and then we have quiet, reflective worship. The important thing about the church is that we flow in unity. Jesus in John chapter 17 prays for us. He prays that we will become one. And it's very important that we are one as a church. And when we look at the history of revivals, we find that the revival outpouring of God's Spirit often came when churches came together to pray and to seek the Lord. So I want to finish by saying, get committed to a local church. Have a humble, submissive spirit. Get involved in serving in whatever way you can.